Whispers of poison haunted the halls of French royalty. Catherine de' Medici stood at the center, Italy's orphan queen, crowned regent, and branded the Poison Queen by terrified rivals. From perfumed gloves to midnight alliances, her reign blurred the line between myth and massacre. Was she truly a mastermind of murder, or did history twist her darkest secrets into legend? To find out, we go back to the very start, when power was the only way to survive. Florence, 1519. A city of palaces and blood feuds where fortunes shifted with every rumor and every dagger in the dark. Catherine was born into the Medici family, the rulers of Florence, but her world collapsed before she could speak. Her mother, Madeleine de la Tour d'Auvergne, died days after childbirth. Her father, Lorenzo de' Medici, followed weeks later. Orphaned as an infant, Catherine belonged to no one and everyone, a pawn for powerful uncles, a bargaining chip in the hands of popes and cardinals. As Italy fractured under foreign armies and city-state rivalries, Florence itself turned hostile. In 1527, a rebellion swept the Medici from power. Republican mobs stormed the city, and the Medici children became living hostages. Catherine, just 8 years old, was locked away in a series of convents, first for her safety, then as a prisoner. Chroniclers described her as a silent shadow behind barred windows, listening to cannon fire and the shouts of angry crowds. Food ran short. The city starved under siege. Radical leaders even debated whether to parade her as a warning or end her life to block any Medici return. Only papal threats and imperial armies kept her alive. For 3 years, Catherine's fate hung on negotiations she could not control. She learned to watch, to wait, to hide every feeling behind a careful mask. The memory of those dark corridors, the fear of being forgotten or destroyed by strangers, never left her. Years later, courtiers would whisper about her cold eyes and her need for order, but it began here in Florence, where survival meant never trusting the mercy of others. In 1533, Catherine crossed the Alps to marry Henry, Duke of Orléans, a political union arranged by her uncle, Pope Clement VII. The wedding sealed an alliance between France and the Medici papacy, but at the French court, Catherine was a stranger. Henry showed little interest in his new wife, and he turned instead to his mistress, Diane de Poitiers. Diane was nearly 20 years older than Henry, and she ruled the king's heart and household. Courtiers bowed to Diane, not Catherine. Diane wore the crown's jewels, controlled patronage, and even signed official letters. Catherine endured years of humiliation, reduced to a necessary ornament and a vessel for royal heirs. For a decade, Catherine's main task was to produce children. After years of anxious waiting, she gave birth to a succession of sons and daughters, 10 in all, securing the Valois line. But her power remained limited while Henry lived. Diane's influence only grew, and Catherine watched as her rival shaped the court's fortunes, even deciding which palaces she could visit. Everything changed in July 1559. During a tournament celebrating a peace treaty, Henry was struck in the eye by a splintered lance. He died days later, and the court descended into chaos. Catherine acted fast. She forced Diane to return the crown jewels and to surrender the Château de Chenonceau, a jewel of the Loire and a symbol of Diane's reign. Diane was pushed into retirement when Catherine signed a contract in September 1559. Catherine, now Queen Mother, positioned herself at the heart of the new regime. When her eldest son, Francis II, died suddenly in 1560, Catherine secured the regency for her 10-year-old son, Charles IX. She negotiated with powerful nobles, outmaneuvered rivals, and claimed real command over France. No longer a pawn or a sidelined consort, Catherine began to rule, not in her husband's shadow, but as the architect of the Valois dynasty's survival. Whispers curled through the candlelit corridors of Catherine's court. At the center stood a queen who never trusted chance, who surrounded herself with men who claimed to read the stars and women who read men. The most famous was Nostradamus. He arrived in Paris in the 1550s and dedicated prophecies to Catherine's children. She listened closely. When Nostradamus warned of disaster, Catherine adjusted her plans, and she refused to hold royal events unless the heavens promised safety. But he was not the only one. Cosimo Ruggieri, an Italian astrologer and rumored sorcerer, became a fixture in her private chambers. Stories spread of midnight rituals, of Catherine and Ruggieri peering into mirrors to glimpse the fate of her sons. Yet Catherine's real power was information. She handpicked a network of ladies-in-waiting, 80 women, elegant and sharp, known as the Flying Squadron. They drifted through the palace, charming nobles and foreign envoys, collecting secrets with every smile. Gossip flowed back to Catherine. She used it to outmaneuver rivals and to anticipate plots. Some claimed these women seduced powerful men at her command, testing loyalties and sowing division among the factions that threatened her son's fragile rule. The queen's spies moved as quietly as shadows, and their reach stretched from the royal apartments to the city's darkest corners. In the heart of Blois, Catherine kept a private room lined with drawers, hundreds of tiny compartments, each one rumored to hide coded letters, secret reports, or more sinister tools. No one knew for certain what lay behind those locked panels. In a court where betrayal was currency and every whisper could be fatal, Catherine's circle of astrologers and informants made her both feared and untouchable. Italian voices filled the royal workshops. Their hands shaped perfumes, scented soaps, and the latest luxury, gloves steeped in rare oils. At Catherine de Medici's court, those imported fragrances became a sensation and a source of dread. The word on every lip was the same: poison. French courtiers whispered that the Queen's Italian perfumers were not just artisans, but poisoners. They said recipes hid death in silk and leather. No rumor ran faster than the tale of Jeanne d'Albret, Queen of Navarre. In June 1572, Jeanne died suddenly in Paris while preparing for her son's wedding to Catherine's daughter. Within days, pamphlets and gossip blamed a pair of perfumed gloves. The story said Catherine had arranged the gift, using a trusted Florentine perfumer to lace the gloves with a lethal toxin. Jeanne's death, so close to the royal marriage, felt too convenient to many who feared a Protestant alliance. Yet the evidence points another way. Jeanne had long suffered chest pains and a persistent cough. Doctors recorded her declining strength and a sudden fever, symptoms now recognized as signs of respiratory illness, not poisoning. No autopsy ever proved foul play. Still, the glove legend stuck because it fit the fears of a court haunted by invisible threats, where a queen could kill with a gesture, a scent, a touch. Catherine's household accounts show regular payments to Italian perfumers, but nothing more sinister than the cost of luxury. In a city on edge, those ordinary details became proof of guilt. By the summer of 1572, Catherine's enemies no longer needed evidence. The mere presence of Italian perfumes and decorated gloves was enough. Her reputation as the Poison Queen was sealed. It waited in the wings, ready to be weaponized when the next disaster struck. On August 18, 1572, Paris overflowed with visitors. The city, tense and watchful, braced itself for the wedding of Marguerite de Valois and Henry of Navarre. Catholic banners hung beside Protestant coats of arms, but the smiles were thin. Thousands of Huguenot nobles, men who had fought against the crown just years before, marched through the narrow streets, their retinues filling every inn and alleyway. Royal guards doubled their patrols. Old neighbors eyed each other with suspicion. The marriage, meant to unite France's warring faiths, instead gathered every rival, every grudge, within the city walls. In the shadowed halls of the Louvre, the royal family played host to uneasy guests, hoping a single ceremony could hold back a flood of violence. Outside, rumors raced faster than carriages, and the city waited, tense and uncertain. No one knew if the city was celebrating peace or if it was a trap waiting to be sprung. A single gunshot shattered the uneasy calm on August 22nd. Admiral Coligny, bleeding and stunned, was carried through the streets while his followers shouted for justice. Inside the Louvre, panic spread like wildfire. The Royal Council met late into the next night, with Catherine and her son Charles IX surrounded by trembling advisors. Some urged restraint, others warned of a Protestant uprising. No clear order survives. By dawn on August 24th, the bell of Saint-Germain-l'Auxerrois began to toll. Doors crashed open. Royal guards and Catholic militia surged into the dark streets, hunting Huguenot leaders by name. Coligny was dragged from his bed and butchered. His corpse was hurled from a window. What began as a targeted purge turned into chaos. Neighbors turned on neighbors. Blood ran in the gutters, and Paris became a city of screams. By the time the sun set, thousands lay dead. The massacre had begun, and there was no turning back. Today, rumor still shapes reputations as much as fact. Catherine's legend shows how fear and propaganda can outlive any ruler, turning power into myth for centuries. In an age of viral misinformation, the shadows around her story feel closer than ever. What do you think? Victim, villain, or something else?